The application window is looming in ICANN's momentous decision to open the floodgates on generic top-level domain names. The deadline was originally scheduled for April 12th, but it was pushed to April 20th after a technical issue was detected in the TAS system software. And ICANN's decision has come to be known as one of the most dramatic shakeups in Internet history, since it could see the introduction of over 1,000 new domain name endings and potentially eliminate the .com, .org, and other common endings that consumers have all become accustomed to. And although the move was met with much opposition, it was never reversed. And with the registration process nearly over, many analysts are predicting an outburst of legal questions. To talk about these issues and the implications of them, we're going to bring in Joe Luthy, the Global Marketing Director for Melbourne IT. Thanks for joining us today, Joe.
You're welcome, Abby. Glad to join you.
Well, it's great to have you. Well, I understand that Melbourne IT has helped many companies submit more than 150 new gTLD applications. So can you tell us a little bit about this registration process?
Yes, we've worked with a number of companies, and it's been a long process. A company has to fill out an application that is rather lengthy in process. And to do that, there's a lot of information that's required. They have to be able to prove financial capability, that they have the technical capability to run a registry. Then they have to submit in the TAS that you mentioned. Then they'll have to submit an application evaluation fee of $185,000. And once they do that is when the process really starts. It'll be from 9 to 22 months to get an application approved and get it added to the root zone of the Internet.
And what industries will we see new generic top-level domains in, just based on your experience with it?
You know, based on what we've seen from our applicants and what we've read from other news reports, it's not going to be localized to any one industry. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the financial industry is going to be a lot of players in that. You're going to see things like .bank, .insurance, other ones that are very specific, but it's going to be all across the board. It's going to be surprising, we believe, whenever the full list is unveiled in May.
Well, as you said, ICANN's reveal day is scheduled toward the end of this month. So what do companies need to be doing now to prepare for this?
Right now, companies, whether they've applied or not applied, really need to start thinking about what's going to be important to them going forward. They're going to want to know, really identify what their trademarks are, what their brands are, and then when these are revealed, they'll be able to want to search on that and make sure that the trademark protections that are promised in the applicant guidebook are actually there. They'll want to, number one, look and see if there's anybody that's applied for their brand as a TLD, make sure that they have rights to those. And we don't expect too much brand infringement at the top level, but it'll be at the second level where it applies. But since gTLDs are global in nature, companies will want to look at it and see if there has been a company with a similar name or the same name that has applied and how they intend to use that going forward.
So if a company detects a problem, how can they voice these concerns, or what really do they need to do?
Well, if they detect a problem, ICANN has implemented a process where there'll be number one, there'll be a 60-day window where a company can have time to review all the applications and then look through and see if there's anything in there that they want to make a comment on or a comment objection on. There's 4 ways that they can actually do a complaint. So they can file a complaint objection on string contention or confusion, where it's confusingly similar, a legal rights objection where there is a trademark infringement. Then there's a community objection where there may be a member of a community that somebody is planning on promoting it to, and they can file an objection with ICANN in the first 60 days. Then after that, if there is legal rights infringement, there's sufficient grounds, there's a period of 7 months where a company can actually file a formal objection, and that will stop an application from going forward until that objection is either addressed in some manner or the application is withdrawn.
Well, it's clear that there could be a lot of potential legal fights in trademarks, because things such as .writs could be used for a number of things.
There's going to be probably a lot of contention because there's a number of companies out there applying for the same generic. It's already came out in the news that .eco, .eco has already a number of players that are interested in acquiring that domain name and looking at legal action even before they know who's applied. So it is going to be very, very interesting. The brands that have applied, brand owners, we don't see that as being very contentious whatsoever because that's going to be used to promote their internal brands and services. We see it more as on the generic side where there's going to be a lot of competition.
Well, in terms of the controversial XXX domain name ending, what should we expect to come with that?
You know, XXX has already launched. They've got good rights protection mechanisms in place, and we've shown that they've worked. And the good news about that is those are what most of the new gTLD applicants are going to be required to have in their rights protection mechanisms when they launch. So having .XXX already launch and prove that these work and are efficient should give trademark owners confidence that it is a good working system in place.
Well, when do you think the first new gTLDs will launch?
Sometime in 2013 is when we expect the first ones to go through the evaluation process and actually be delegated into the root zone. So we'll start seeing them sometime in 2013, probably late next year.
Do you expect there to be a second application window?
ICANN has always said that there will be another application period where companies can apply. They have not established a time frame for that. They have a number of hurdles that they have to address themselves. They've promised an economic study about how this has benefited the community, and so we don't know how much time that's going to take, but they have committed to subsequent rounds after the first.
ICANN has said that its goals were to provide greater opportunities for users and brands. So do you think that it will accomplish this goal with this move?
You know, I believe it will. Every innovation we've seen on the internet has opened up a lot of opportunities, created a lot of new businesses, and I think we're going to see the same thing with the new TLDs. It's going to cause people to start looking at the internet in different ways they have in the past, and there'll be some new business models come out of it that should be very interesting.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for talking with us, Joe. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, and keep watching WebPro News for the very latest in these proceedings. I'm Abby Johnson with this report.